I'm not the late one, so.
But I'm going there.
The one thing that I don't like about this whole changeover, I'm like, shh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's.
Well, there's room for more than one.
See, it's 4:32 or so.
I agree. Look.
They just got a patronize.
But who does? Is there a bad one?
I'm an old fashioned guy.
They can do that too.
And I can go out.
I know how that goes.
They can do that too.
Thank you for recruiting me. Thank you so much. You saw
Were you water? I
it.
covered you.
You just said.
I said you were in the building. You look back.
Maybe, I don't know where you
But she was in the building.
And I'm pretty sure they did pay exception for the account.
No. 2 years then.
Hey, Mary.
Meet my obligation to be here.
No, to be at,
No,
Sorry.
I was in.
I say
2, so got till November's 2, and then I'll probably take 1.5 more.
you went, yeah, oh,
No, I'm not.
you went.
You're on camera, Kevin,
No,
being recorded.
I don't
The
care.
whole world knows. Anything good?
And I'm gonna draw my social security. I'm looking forward to it.
That just makes me good. I'm just jealous. All right,
Young and jealous.
that's right. Call
Good
the
job,
meeting, March 6th, regular board meeting, Tioga County IDA will call the order. Do a roll call, Christine.
John Ward,
I'm here.
Kevin Gillette,
Here.
Eric Knowles,
Here,
Mary Townsend. Yes. And Tracy and Marty are excused for the night.
So we got a quorum, but barely, so we'll
Barely.
see how agreeable we
Hi,
are
Mary.
tonight.
We're totally agreeable. Hello.
We're all agreeable. Okay. We're agreeable to a privilege of the floor by Marcia Keach.
Awesome, a first, huh?
First, right out of the gate.
Okay, all right. I'm going to pass out some reports and we'll just pass them down. Can I send some for the 2 people who aren't here?
Sure.
Yes.
How are we doing?
Good meal here.
Yeah, one for Meg, but Meg can do.
Do you want another one, John?
One and we're showing
Oh, that's-
you. Thank you, Marcia.
Everybody got one? You get one?
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So welcome. Well, I'm Marcia Kuchel and I'm a member of the Newark Valley Historical Society. And my main goal in life is to keep the Lehigh Valley Race Shaver people up and going. And couldn't do it without you because you actually are the owners. The first part of this, we have 2 reports. One is the Friday night report, which you get every year. And so you can read that on your own. And of course, there's a schedule there. But I would like to talk about the depot itself, because I think there may be several of you who really don't know much about the history. So I'm going to try to give that up. The depot was built in 1886, 1868, and Southern Central was the railroad. They came through 1868 and 1870 was the first freight train, and passenger trains started very quickly after that. So for 100 years, trains came to Newark Valley, both passenger and freight. Although the passenger train, that stopped in 52. Steam engines stopped at 51, then it went to all coal. But in 52, the passenger train stopped. Freight trains ran to 69. And then Lehigh Valley abandoned the station, and that made it part of the I-Day. I'm not quite sure what the process was for that, but I'm sure the I-Day probably wasn't crazy about that, but that's the way it happened. So from 69 until 82, it was totally abandoned. And it was just an old barn. There was no second walls, no foundation. So for 13 years, it became dilapidated and everything went. It never had a platform. It had no foundation. In 82, Ray Shaver, who had been a member of the Historical Society and for a long time and had a passion for trains, He came to you, came to the IDA and said, can I take this building and try to restore it? And you probably said, go for it, go for it. And so a contract was signed between Clark Smith, who was our president, and whomever your president was. And for $1 a year, which John can try to figure out because we never paid and how much we're in debt for. But anyway, so that's what happened with that. And so he began the task of trying to restore that building. And there's a picture on it. You ought to look at that second page there and the picture of what that, no, you're on the wrong one. Right? Look at that. That's what the building looked like in 82. And it was a sad, sad shape. So the first thing they did, they had no foundation. So they went up on the hill, Kirkendall's, and they cut down hemlock trees. Not sure why they chose hemlock, but they did. I'm sure it was a very good reason. And they put a mill right in front of the depot, and they milled the hemlock logs for a foundation and put the foundation, and then start all the other projects. The roof this building is huge. It's 140 feet long or something. It's huge. They did the roof, they did the windows, the doors, restrooms, and they put a foundation under it. And that was the beginning of something, but nobody knew what they're going to do with it. Jim Mead, who from your antique center, he started a tourist train, and he ran that for about 8 years, and then he lost the contract. And Steve May got the contract, but he really never was too crazy about the tourist trains. So he kind of stopped them too. And then we were stuck. Ray, at that time, that's about the time in 2000 when I was getting involved and I was kind of retired, and he was sure that we could make this into a community center. And not knowing anything about it, I said, oh, that's a great idea. And so that's what we started. We started the Depot Friday nights. The first Depot Friday night was in 2004, and we had 12 people there. And 2 of them were us that were and we had no money. I didn't have a clue of how to pay anybody. And Betty Thompson, I don't know if any of you remember Betty Thompson. Well, she was a local person, politics and so forth, but she told me about grants. And oh Lordy, that was the beginning of grant writing. And if you ever done grant writing, that can make you crazy. But it got us money and we got started. And then we started having these wonderful Friday nights. And that's kind of where we are now. We've had these wonderful programs and they've gone from 12 to 200. All volunteer work, nothing comes in there that's paid. Well, I shouldn't say that. We had to pay last year, 2 years ago, the health department changes their regulations. So we had to do some stuff. We had to add an extra sink and put some things in, and we did pay those laborers to do that. Most of the time, there's repairs every year. This building is ancient. And repairs, and most of the time we can handle them. Sometimes we can't, but most of the time we can. So where are we? This is a building I've become passionate about. It is an awesome building. And the fact that it's all done by volunteers is pretty darn special. And the group that we have on any Friday night, there takes 20 of us to pull this off. Setting up the stage and the lighting and the music and all the food. It was one thing to feed 50, 60 people. It's another thing to feed 100. And that's what we're up against right now. And people come for the food and stay for the entertainment. Because much of our people are older, that we have a senior who love to eat out. And of course, we're pretty cheap. There's no fee except for the food, but there's no fee to come. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about my passion, and hope I can share it with you more. We do have a little problem this year. So another reason for me to be here. About 6 years ago, we replaced the entire west side of the depot, that's 140 foot. Now the south end, which is only 40 foot, what happens is the wood, because it looks like it curls. And so it needs to be replaced. So I'm going to come to you later for some finances to help us do that south end. The problem is if you don't do it, the boards curl and then people trip over. And then I'm scared to death of lawsuits. So that needs to be replaced. They should have done it last year, probably we did. So we have some other issues going on that we can take care of ourselves, but we're going to need some funding for that. And there's a piece of land so the railroad owns a chunk of land on each side of those tracks. And there's one of that is, they've turned into like a little driveway from Maple Avenue over to our place, and that does need gravel. We did put gravel in it last year, but it needs a better job. So that's one of the things. So that's all I have to say. I hope you get a chance to look at the, this part. And that's just a report on which you all have been here before. It's on this year's, and it talks about, you know, all the concerns we have about aging out and keeping this old building going. It's a marvelous place. Hope you all get to see it sometime. Check that schedule out. That is, we run 13 consecutive weeks from the first Friday in June to the last one in August. And it's a really exciting place. Lately, we've had more families. You'll see a blanket thrown down with little kids on it. They also like to walk the track, which scares the heck out of me because if they fall, they're gonna get all skinned up and gravel. But I don't know. Pardon?
Makes them tough.
Yeah, okay. What they send us the lawsuit. But anyway, I don't know why it is, but the railroad, the last 2 years has sprayed about 8 foot on either side of the tracks to kill. I don't know why, because we mow it. That's one of our jobs. And they kill it and it is horrible. It's black. It just looks awful. And
If you request that they not spray that, I imagine they wouldn't.
I have talked to them, and the guy I talked to has no power. He's just a guy on the train, you know, so I don't know. But I'm sure what they're spraying with is pretty darn potent because it kills everything and it cracks the soil. And I've never seen it looking so. It's all black, it's just full of cracks, the whole thing. I don't know what to do about that, but I'm gonna put some grass seed on it and go from there. So, question me, give me a question. It's awesome.
Is it a museum as well?
Yes. Yes.
Newark Valley, the kids in Newark Valley use it quite a bit or no?
The kids, we do school tours. There was a time when we were doing all of the tourist trains. We did a lot more touring now, and we don't have the tours that come now. It's open. There's always somebody there who wants to talk about something, and we have all of the memorabilia. Ray was phenomenal in collecting memorabilia, and if you ever get a chance to come to it, you'll just be astounded at what is in there. It looks like it was never abandoned. That's how much stuff is in there. And we've done a lot of stuff over the years too. But we've tried heating it, but you can't heat it. It's like heating a barn. You know, there's just so many holes and so forth. That's what I got.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you all. Thank you for listening to me and letting me rattle on.
Good.
Thanks for coming out in the rain.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, I passed the point of melting a long time ago. Thank you all.
Good. Thank you.
We'll see you in the morning. Yes, you will.
Thanks, Marcia.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to approval of minutes, we forgot to last meeting go through annual meeting minutes, so I had Christine add those to this month's agenda. To get A and B for approval of minutes of both last month's regular meeting and then January 3rd annual meeting.
I move we approve the February 7th regular meeting and the January 3rd annual meeting.
Okay, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, that's carried. Financials, I did have a chance to take a peek at those. I had a couple of things. Christine was gonna just take a peek at loan payments and Crown Court paid their pilot, so there's a couple of things that gotta get tweaked on there.
Yeah, so Crown Court, was that a payment in full? That number, is that an accrued? That was $2 million pilot?
No, that's the guess. That's.
Okay, that's what that's, because they were all listed together.
Yeah, so that's the account, I think.
So,
It's like 2.574 is sitting in that's in the pilot account,
yeah,
which right now is titled Owego Gardens, but that's mostly Central New York Oil and Gas, but there's another 300,000 that came into our operating account. Okay, and it's not moved into that account, so.
Okay. So I just.
Some will go out now.
yeah. I'm just waiting for Spencer Tioga Solar's payment, which is in the mail, and then they're all in, and then I can cut payments out to the town and county.
Is it the new owner that's paying?
Yeah, Altus removal. And Central New York is 2,009,215.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple tweaks that'll be coming between the additional 300,000 coming in. And then it's our most recent loans that got put on the books that I think there's some updates that need to get put in there for payments coming in for January and February's payments. While we're on the topic, I had done just a quick when we were going through our audit, we had an audit meeting this past week. Somebody after the meeting asked me afterwards about our services revenue, which is basically, it's our recurring revenue. It's not all recurring, but it's basically how we make money. This grant money comes in and it goes out. This is the money that we pay the bills with. So you'll see on there. That goes all the way back to 2019, 19, 20, 21, all relatively consistent. 22 and 23, we got sliced in half, basically. 24, I don't think we can count on a best bet necessarily, so you're looking at probably further going down. Our regular operating expenses are to the tune of somewhere 200 grand. So I don't have a magic pill, wish I did, but that's just kind of a summary of where we were for the past handful of years and where we're headed. I know Leanne and her report's gonna cover some things with RJ Corman. Marcia brought it up too, again, I think, it's not the Steve May operation that it once was, where you could go knock on the door and we go and get some real attention. I think it's much more of a burden to find somebody that cares, if they care. I don't know how big of a company they are and how dinky our rail line is to them, but.
I've yet to see anybody to spend real money and not expect a return, so I think there's a couple things that happen there that, just the economy, the COVID experience where everybody had twice what they needed, but they didn't realize it till it was over. And, and now the fallout from it on cost, which, we manufactured as a country, but these guys, they came in wanting to take names and make money.
Well, again, if you look at the numbers in 21, that was their first year, they were good numbers.
Yeah.
And then just fell off just completely fell
Well,
off.
that was, a lot of that was just cars though. I mean, there was more, the money flows to the services flow to money and vice versa. So there just was more revenue in other areas that they didn't need to service that place north of town.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I think that'll get better. That'll come back. I'm seeing more cars in storage. And I'm seeing more open cars up the tracks every
They
month.
still storm north of you, right? Is that where they store a
I
lot of
don't know
them?
what they're doing north of us. I don't know if anything up there.
I think
They
there
ought
are
to
a
be
handful
storing
of
them up
cars
at the
up there.
propane place up there, because they're doing not much anything else. But just north of town, there's I don't know, they're bulk cars, sand or plastic, or it might be cars going into a place that makes tanks up there. Can't remember the name, in the industrial park. But
Is there a switch up near you, Kevin?
I think maybe in town, is there still two sets of tracks right in town, or did they all get pulled up?
So where they're storing their cars is gonna depend on where the switches are, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I mean, they can pull them up there and then they gotta get their engine back, so.
But
these are all just north of town is where I see them. But there's nobody is going past the plant anymore, so there's plenty of tracks. I mean, they could push 1,000 cars up
way
through
up
there.
there, right?
I don't know if the track's still at the old ladder.
At the old ladder factory, I think that came up, the switches came up there, I believe.
What's going on with that real estate? Do we know that? I think that the Steve
Do you know
May
about
still own
what's
that.
going on at the letter factory?
The village still.
They own it?
Yeah, and I think at one point they talked about solar, but that never happened. I don't know if Steve owns the.
She owns that other property.
Yeah.
So where the old ladder factory sat, the village owns.
No, I just figured I'd toss that together. It was fresh because we just went through the audit and again. You take that number in 23 and you knock out any pilot revenue, that's a potential for where we're heading in 24 without a big influx from the railroad. The only other thing that came up, because I remember Tracy asking about it, I think it was last meeting, was our Serv Pro bill. So I had Christine send me that invoice. And I went back with looked at the original quote. I don't know if anybody cares. We haven't paid it yet. But the original quote in bold and italic says the final billing will reflect the actual hours utilized on the project, which I think we questioned last month. My thought is at least force them to substantiate it before we pay them,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
how
much
many
so.
people, how many hours?
because they just came back and billed us for exactly what the original quote was, which had a whole bunch of estimates for hours.
And like tonnage,
Tonnage.
material they were gonna take out,
Mhm.
and see how much tonnage they actually took out. I mean, the pictures showed a lot, but
There wasn't any tonnage. It was,
Yeah, there's no weight to that.
Oh,
if
there's-
they
Oh.
pull it tonnage, it would be shocking, but it's always good to hold folks.
Yeah, it's just,
fire
they
on
at least
the
hold them
contract.
accountable to their original
Yeah.
quote, which says that they would substantiate some numbers for us, which this doesn't do. So.
Those are accounting practices.
Those were my only items on financials. So outside, again, just getting the pilot number and book for Crown Cork and just taking a look at the last loan recipients accounts. Other than that, I'd be looking for an acknowledgement to the financial statements.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Hearing none, that's carried.
Just a reminder, hopefully Sunny Valley Solar does actually close on that pilot and we should get 247,000 feet from them.
That'd be nice. There you go. Good
So
reminder.
that should be coming.
Now, that'll carry us, certainly carry us for this year and then the next, so that'd be good. Anything new from them?
I've checked with them every now and then, just, do you need to move the documents forward? They're not ready yet, but they're saying it's still happening.
I actually forgot. about them. It's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then speaking of payments going out, just so everyone knows, we paid out to the, exactly what they quoted us, 87,120. That barn and silo demo is complete and O'Rourke for the air monitoring, their quote estimated 1,795. They actually invoiced us 3,200. I already cut that, both those checks today, sent them out.
Hands up next with ED&T update.
Yep, just give a brief update. Economic Development Village of Owego CDBG Racker project is well underway. It's moving right along nicely. They are on target, believe it or not. As far as DRI, we were fortunate to host Lieutenant Governor came to visit last week at the Owego Donut and Beer. That was a very nice event. I feel there were a lot of people there. Lieutenant Governor was able to talk with people and said a few words. That was a nice event. Restore projects, Buddy Duddies, and Tioga Trails. Brett and Megan continue to assist both with paperwork around the Restore program, slow moving.
So
Village-
scaffolding,
Scaffolding is gone, isn't it?
we expect to close sidewalk down there.
Yeah.
Do you like the explanation or no explanation?
Yeah, they're still trying to put our partial drawings together for some point in time. To have the scaffold and stuff.
He's been resistant to providing the drawings that are needed.
Did he engage him?
Supposedly has one quote.
He's at the end, it's getting us.
She's just getting close. Okay.
What happens if somebody gets walloped down there?
I think that's
Starts
fine.
falling off the building.
Well,
I thought
again,
the scaffolding
again,
is there to protect the,
Right.
you know, the good citizens of the town. So what happens if somebody gets cracked by a brick?
I would assume. Joe, that there'd be a
They'll call Joe.
Who, that's where they
Who
start.
owns the building?
property.
Does
the property owner.
Property. That's
Yeah,
a-
the
you know,
village
it's a-
doesn't own the building, does it?
it's it's a question of the status of the building, who owns it, and
How
what's
what's
the
the building
condition.
before it turns into a, you know, town thing? How,
No, the town doesn't have any responsibility.
the village, no, you know,
Who,
nobody.
who owns it?
John, what's it called?
Johnny Munchko owns it,
Mm-hmm.
John or his,
The village is concerned about the situation and they will be reaching out to the property owner in all likelihood
at
to.
the end of the day, the property owner is responsible for the
Yes.
condition of the building. If anybody's harmed as a result of a defective or negligent condition, they're responsible, and presumably John has insurance, but, if he doesn't,
I mean, it's layered up in an LLC, I'm sure.
oh, absolutely, but he'd have insurance.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
That's really where it would go. I can't imagine John not.
No, I'm sure, it's
Yeah.
insured.
It's been challenging. It's been challenging. So remember, there's DRI and restore money wrapped up in that property. So they're balancing, Brett and Megan are balancing two funding sources, different requirements, different timeframes, different pieces of the project here and a piece of the project there. It's been very challenging for them to manage the whole thing.
And I think a lot of people struggle just working through those projects before with the fact that you have to do it by the state's rules, which in a lot of cases, a lot of people around here, the way things work, they want to do this by themselves and that by themselves and the other thing by themselves. And with those programs, that doesn't work.
State rate, what?
And John's had a lot of experience in developing properties.
That's just it. I mean, he, don't get me wrong, you know, lots of people have their personality challenges. We all do. But he's used to doing things on his own.
Yeah.
And he can't.
Yeah.
And some people learn slower than others.
So in any event, they will continue to try and move that forward. Village of Waverly, New York forward. We are still waiting the announcement from the state as to which of the projects that were submitted will be selected for funding. So I'm told that hopefully by next month, we will have that information. That's when we'll be able to start to move those projects forward in the Village of Waverly. Town of Nichols, broadband, Southern Tier Network is applying to connect all, state program to continue build out, complete the build out in the town of Nichols and to also do a build out in York Valley. So that application was due March 8th. They've already submitted it. Announcements expected April 22nd and IPs to be issued on May 24th. So we're anxious to hear about that. That would be all Southern Tier Network and state Connect All funds, no match required by any other entity. So we're really hoping that we can continue to build out of fiber. I'm talking about pilots that have been approved and sitting there for a while. West Bay Star, that was the Lord's project. I did talk to Dave Dimick earlier this week. I asked him, you know, is this gonna go? And because of the change between Lords and Guthrie, and he said they're working through it right now. He believes ultimately it will go, but it's a process at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Land Bank, 81 North property that Land Bank owns now, the property cleanup, has it been completed or is it going on right now?
It's going on, but tomorrow.
Tomorrow should be completed. And then Temple and Liberty, the land bank, has contracted with Fagan to provide conceptual plans for single family housing in the Temple and Liberty Street area. So Land Bank continues their efforts to build something there, so we'll see what happens with that. Workforce development, community development. First, I would just like to make everybody aware that Sean Lanning has been actually appointed as our community development specialist. That's a position that was vacated when Abby Ortu left. So he is our, as of this week, is our community development specialist and will be continuing with his education workforce work under that as well. So we're not giving up on all that. Workforce development, he's facilitated BOCES and tours of local businesses. Continues to work as a liaison between the schools and businesses. Specifically, he's doing work around potential Waverly internships. And he has facilitated the Career Center School pilot program in the Waverly School and Spencer Benetton School, which I understand are now underway or will be shortly for both those school districts. So
Monday.
Okay. As far as planning, the countywide strategic plan has been completed, and the 2024 annual ag district inclusions is in process right now. That is an opportunity for any property owner to ask to have their property placed within the ag district. You have an annual opportunity to do that. So that's happening now, and there were 2 properties that will be added this year to the ag district. Sustainability management, Ellen is working on updating the solid waste management plan. It's with DEC for review right now. Miscellaneous items, again, Brittany and Megan have been very busy. It's grant season. They're contemplating or exploring the possibility of making a CDBG grant application for micro enterprise grant funds for small businesses. That would be in the amount of $215,000. That would be a grant program for businesses with 5 employees or less, with a maximum amount of $35,000 for really new and expanding small businesses, or how are you structuring it?
So that it can be for working capital or for equipment, and it can be startups, it can be existing businesses that are looking to expand.
So Britt's searched for a long time for a way to find grant programming for our small businesses. As we know, the money's out there for those big projects, but very limited for small businesses. So she's been diligent in identifying a source for some way to help our small businesses. And so we're hopeful that this will be something that we can put together.
Been a common question recently.
Yep.
Nobody seems to want to pay the rates that we're charging.
Yep. And then as well, 2 applications on behalf of the IDA to USDA RDBG, one for the equipment lease program, the amount of $99,000, and one for phase 2 Lounsbury property development, the amount of $90,000. These applications have been submitted. We're anticipating word on them maybe July timeframe. Both would be run through the IDA. The equipment lease program would be a program that previously REAP managed, where they applied. What we will do is we have applied to USDA for $99,000. We'll take that money. We'll work with businesses that have an equipment purchase need, and then the IDA would purchase that equipment, and then the property owner would pay the IDA a lease payment of nominal 0.1%, however you say it. And then at the end of that lease term, they would purchase the equipment for $1 from the IDA. So the IDA would own it during that period. And then ultimately the business owner would purchase it at the end of the lease. So it's a way for these businesses to be able to finance or purchase equipment at a, obviously reduced rate. Sorry, John. The other is for phase 2 Lounsbury properties. So once we sat down and talked about the Buck Road property, and initially this discussion was around Buck Road. Remember, what we're thinking of is we're going to build a building out there, 40,000 square foot building. What do we need to do that? So we kind of we got ARC funding for that, 26,000 match IDA.
we kind of did a little regroup once we started getting into that and determined that the first thing we really need to do is determine what could possibly fit there. So at this point, Hunt is taking a look and helping us determine what could fit. We don't know if it's up to 40,000 or 140,000 square foot. We don't know. So Hunt right now is in the process of, has started to look at what could work there, what would we need? Well, then phase two of that, and we have the money to be able to fund that particular study. Phase two of that would be, how do we get the infrastructure to the site? So the design of infrastructure extension to the site, water, sewer, fiber, electric, natural gas, which are all in the immediate area, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So in looking at that, you know, Brett identified again RDBG that we could access to complete that piece, the design of getting the infrastructure there. When she started looking at it, she's like, well, there's room here if we're going to apply, and it might make a stronger application if we included some other properties in this. So then we started looking at the other IDA owned properties, Hess, Berry Lapkey, and so Buck Road, Hess, and Berry and Lapkey. And trying to identify what has already been done, what still needs to be done. So in the course of that, she put together, included in this grant application, funding to complete studies on those properties, studies, whether it's, what did you end up saying we were wording in on Berry? We need,
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, I think on that one, a topo survey, again, the utilities plan, I don't know if we had RPO on that
I think
one.
we had Lapkey Berry, we have RQ on Lapkey, I believe, but not on Berry, yeah. And so anyway, we looked at each of the properties, what's missing. And she included in that this particular grant application, then funding toward being able to complete some of these other studies on the other properties to make them shovel ready. So those applications have gone in, and we're looking at July. Hopefully they'll be funded, but I just want to say, you know, thanks to Brittany for her forward thinking and thinking about how do we get ready. So back to the Buck Road property, after discussions with several people who know about these things, although I really, really, really wanted to build a building, I don't see us building a building.
You see us bringing all the infrastructure there and then letting them do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's probably best.
Yeah.
Building. I know you.
But I think that's probably where we're going.
How different of a scope is, I mean, obviously different type of property, different design, use, everything, but for what's for Fagan and what they're doing for the land bank in the study for.
For our temple, the
Yeah.
review part, so right now, we're just doing a site plan, a subdivision plan.
Okay.
And then basically it just has the setbacks, the required lot sizes, and
Okay.
the footprints.
So in regards to similar, but obviously different because of the use.
Residential. versus-
Eventually, we'll do the same thing with the utilities, but we have to get the subdivision.
I bring to the banker the world that those small projects, how easy it is to spend money.
I know Mary is astounded by it as well, right? Did you say
Trust.
last month you were amazed, why are we spending all this money?
Paper.
For nothing, for
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, that's what you do.
So again, many thanks to Brett and Megan for their work on these applications and Christine's assistance with it on behalf of the IDA. So thank you. So the last thing I have is regarding the railroad, as John mentioned, some concerns about, you know, the revenue review and the comparison. Thank you. This is very helpful. And pre-RJ Corman, post-RJ Corman leadership. And I kind of talked a little bit with John about it. I think it's time to bring leadership from RJ Corman back to town and have a sit down and say, what's the plan? We have concerns here. This is what the trend is. What is your plan for future development? What is your, plan for increasing freight along this line? Christine brought up a very valid point that I think we should discuss is the cleanup of the West Ave property. It looks bad. It's hard to market it when it looks bad.
Yeah.
And then, some concerns around their revenue reporting. So I think we need to have a sit down. You're the only railroad committee member here tonight, Kevin, but,
Pretty good. Right on.
yes, I think it's time to bring them back
Yeah.
to town. Not the business development guy. Christine's had conversations with him, but the decision makers and say, we have concerns. So that's what we'd like to do.
It's the term of our lease with them.
Oh, what is it, 10 or 20 years?
20 years.
Year.
It's long.
They got redone in, what was it, 2020, I think, when they came.
2020.
Yeah, if they have the ability to just keep re-upping, so I can't remember what the terms were. It might have been 10 years and re-up or 7 years and re-up. I can't remember.
Well, there's a revenue point where they go from 10% to 5%. If you go back and look, I mean, I've poked at some of the historical reports. I mean, they get into that 5%, bucket,
Mhm.
3/4 of the way through the year. I don't think they're even close now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close. And again, I don't know. I mean, it's what's always hard when you have consolidation and you go from small and nimble to big and clunky. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we had some reporting issues with the person that sent that report out, and they had shellitis in what they were giving us, and their numbers for previous year, it just kept reverting back to a few years ago. And so, I don't know. I don't know how big of a company RJ Coleman is, but
Quite large.
I would assume.
The thing on the tracks going north is there's nobody north of Weissman that's using it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why they're not gonna take cars all the way out there. Because there's, number one, they're gonna pay to merge on them, so they're gonna pay for those cars to sit there. And they're not gonna run them all the way up there, and they're only going as far as maybe Weitzman's at this point. I don't even know they're hardly moving anything for Weitzman at this point, I think.
Yeah, that's
So-
some open cars, but right now they're storing a bunch of, instead of dry product cars, whether it's sand or plastic pellets or
So that must be their.
fertilizer, or I don't know what the heck's in, carbo, that's a typical,
So that's a good point, though, Kevin. That should be something we should be talking about too, is what material, what product are they even moving at this point? We don't even know.
right, or they could just be storing the cars.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not outside, possibilities. They're probably trying to figure out a way to, scrape together some revenue one way or another. But there's nobody, I mean, what were they doing at the propane facility? It's not shut down, but they're not hauling anything in cars. There's trucks in and out of there still at times.
Correct.
I mean, that's,
I think they got substantial capacity there for underground storage. I mean, I can't even remember where I had heard it, that they had supposedly changed blends that they were storing and trucking it out instead of hauling it out in cars.
well, they were hauling in cars
Okay.
at one point. And then just before all hell broke loose here with the
Pipeline issue.
the big sickness. They were running cars back and forth. They ran them up there full, and then they ran them back out to Ohio or something full because of some inventory issue.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was somebody on the rail or whether it was these guys themselves. They sent the gas back the other way because they were in the middle of some inventory issue. And I don't know how come I was privy to that.
I need to find out more what's
Probably
going on.
Well, it would be helpful just to even understand that operation up there.
Yep.
Is it just a short-term blip?
Going north of our yard, if it's not an RJ Corman vehicle on the tracks, it doesn't go north of the yard.
I'm not surprised.
They're still wandering up through there with service trucks and whatnot, so that they're doing whatever their due diligence are on the tracks. I'm sure they have to be inspected and
They
such.
do.
But
That's
if
all.
we're gonna get business on the rail and it's not Weissman that's gonna do the business, I'd like to know who is.
Right. Well, again, I think that facility up there, I mean, it seemed, there's a lot of money, I think, buried in the ground up there.
Yeah.
The question just becomes, is this a temporary or a permanent
well,
lack of
it's
need?
been 2-3 years now.
It
I think.
is.
I believe this board needs to make some noise that we're not okay with how things are going.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I mean, the last time we met with him, it was 3, 4, or 5 of those guys came in and didn't have a lot of answers, but they weren't, didn't feel like they were holding back a whole lot. But there wasn't an answer in the group. Okay. Ready,
Okay,
get it back in. The last time around, nobody showed up.
On our,
It was me, Marty and Tracy, and Marty and Tracy couldn't make the meeting, and I didn't really see the point of being
Yeah,
a one-man band,
that's what happened.
so.
Which Marty was never planning on coming, but with you and Tracy there, it would have been a two-man show.
All right, so let's set it up. If it goes down that way again, I will be the guy there.
Okay.
It'll be
well, I don't
great.
know, again, I'm not on that committee, but obviously we all have a vested interest. I'd certainly be willing to sit in.
I sat with you on that. I'm interested about what
Good plan.
the possibilities are.
All right.
So then if that's the case, why don't we bring him right in at the board?
Real meeting, yeah.
We could start the meeting earlier, plan on making a late one.
Okay.
Start the wheels in motion.
Yeah, gotta find out something,
Yeah.
good or bad.
That's right. That's right. Well, it'll give us direction too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That one's up on the scenic tours, you know.
There you go. All right, takes us to new business, Christine.
So the Chamber of Commerce is holding the 2024 Economic Forum in April. And they are requesting IDA to be a sponsor in the amount of $1,000. We have supported them in the past, so seeking approval from the board to contribute $1,000 for that.
Looking for a motion to spend $1,000 in the chamber.
So move.
Second.
Any more discussion? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll pay them.
There you go.
We get our name somewhere, fancy stuff.
Yes, you can get your name.
Small.
Yes.
That's only 3 letters.
I'll make it bigger than that.
Spelled out.
So I think we discussed this briefly with you before.
You still, you're not a chamber board anymore, right? You came up that one. 6 comp tickets. There you go. Who's going?
So do any board members want to attend that event? It is on the Thursday, April 25th. And I know Marty wants to attend on behalf of IDA, so I'll be buying her a ticket.
We're covered.
Anybody
We're
wants-
covered for 6.
you sponsor for $1,000, you get 6 tickets.
Oh, well, great.
Well,
All right, if anybody wants to attend, let me know.
25th, it's a
Where-
Thursday.
Where's it at?
During the day.
Is that
The
the
Elks, I think.
Elks Owego Lodge?
They'll give you a beer at the end. You get to pay for it.
Anyone else number?
Yes,
Cheap beer.
I'm a member of here.
Team beer.
So,
I'm going on behalf of the bank, so you don't have to cover my ticket.
okay. So Marty, Kevin wants one.
What time is it?
I don't have a time, I apologize.
But
3,
tickets
I think it's
away,
3
I
o'clock.
I might end up
That's fine. I'll plan on me going. I'll try to
going
go.
to have the company to this event.
Full skate, free.
All right, I'll just email it.
Aaron
Derek
says,
wants one.
I feel like it's done.
It's a very good one. I've done a couple times. It's very good.
Mhm. Agreed. Okay. So,
If we can't fill our 6 tickets, just send one to RJ Corman's business person, make sure you know.
Very
you know, they
impressive.
fly out to come here for those, like, to meet for a day or whatnot.
Where's the business guy from? Where is he?
He lives in Texas
Okay.
or Florida, Texas.
Texas, it seems like.
Oh, it's Tennessee.
One of those.
Hey,
Whoa.
T for Texas, T for Texas.
It
Yeah,
ain't
country
Tioga.
club in there
That's how we
somewhere.
can get
It ain't
there.
Tioga.
That's for sure.
probably not.
So we have a easement request formally coming. This is just to seek your input and see if you're generally open-minded to approving an easement through the IDA-owned parcel next to Owego Gardens 1. If you recall, we had a wetland delineation done to see if we could perhaps develop that. It's mostly all wetland. There's a potential development over here on property owned by Porto. And this is what do we say? We're saying potential retail development that basically needs a lot of water, so capacity, so they intend on tapping into our newly built water tank system and bringing the main across our property over to theirs. They're working through the planning with Town of Owego, planning approvals, and their architect engineers are working on the full plan, and Town of Owego would need to be involved for a water district permission, so everybody's been coordinating on how that will go. So are you okay, generally speaking, once we get any formal request to letting them go through our land with a water main?
Who owns the business? Owns the property?
Vinny
So
Porto.
Vinny Porto owns the
He's
property.
owned it forever. He's marketed it forever. For as long as I've been in banking business, I think that thing's been off and on the
Yeah.
market and for sale. Just waiting for.
What is there now, Jim? Just vacant land?
Trees.
Yeah, I mean, there's a power line that runs up somewhere, it might be further to the east. Maybe,
Yellow-
or actually it's the yellow line,
That's a
yeah,
gas.
yeah,
That's it.
gas line.
Gas easement, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a gas.
So that's all cut out in there, so you can see where that is. Between the. But a lot, when we had the wetlands study done, wasn't that partially his property on, that we looked at too, or no, or did,
We did, we
we
did,
just
we
looked at
just
ours?
said, we looked at ours, so
and it was like all wet,
you can see what's shown on there in the
Yeah.
green there is, that's all wetland.
yeah,
What is that right next door, John?
which one?
The commercial looking buildings,
Storage, it's a storage.
Oh, okay.
anytime
Yeah, I
storage
got it. I
or
got it
something, yeah,
now.
that sold to a big company out of the Midwest a few years ago.
You see the blue line that's at the hammerhead,
Mhm.
that you can see, that's where we're talking about right there, Christine, that's
That's
where
where
we're
your
talking about
easement-
coming across IDA property right there.
Right. And, I mean, if there's no building ability there, then I'm really not opposed to any,
No. I mean, we really wouldn't
You know
be
what?
doing anything else with that property.
as
way
lo-
back
as
then.
long as we're not responsible for any of the wetland nonsense that'll happen as a result of the digging.
Right.
You know, I'm sure that'll be covered in Joe's contract.
Yes, his airtight Teflon contract.
The revenue source, can we charge them for the easement?
Good.
Is anybody else on that end of the, that water line could benefit from that? We have some capacity there. I don't know how much capacity with that tank, but
See, the potential retail requires a sprinkled building.
Yeah.
So they're looking at the numbers right now to make sure the capacity is there for that. They won't have a lot of water use. It's mostly domestic use, but the building has to be sprinkled.
Right.
And then Porto is intending on 2 other pieces of development on the rest of that site. So he'd like to build a warehouse type facility, and then he's also talking the possibility of a residential development up there as well. So I've connected him with, one of the guys that we work with home leasing, is not with home leasing anymore, but to see if, there's interest there. Really just connecting the players at this point. We won't have any involvement in that So there's potential for additional development there. We talked about taking the water line instead across 430, down right along 434. But the retail development, was hesitant to do that because that gets challenging with the right of ways, DOT and property owners and all that. Their preference would, they think would be quicker, easier, cheaper to come off from Belva and over and down. And by doing that, it allows the rest of the site access as well for whatever future development may happen down the road.
I mean, in theory, I don't have any issue with it. To Mary's point, you know, it'd be nice to get a few bucks for making life easier on them, but yeah, in theory.
Water access, I mean.
Do you wanna do
They'll
a
get paid for
one-time fee or like an
Have we done long easements like this in the past?
We've got,
Lots of leases
Lots.
on the tracks and things like that, so, I mean, again, it's probably
how do you usually see that, Joe? Do we, on an easement, how does that usually
a
go?
one-time fee. or-
One-time fee or month or annual fee or?
You can do it either way, you know, and we done it. You know, near the railroad, both ways,
Mhm.
actually.
You gotta get something out of it for the.
Yeah, but I
aggravation
would,
that
I
deal
mean, it
with
would
these
seem to be,
waterfalls.
Exactly.
I think an annual fee.
Annual.
And that's what it is with the pipelines, you
Yeah,
know what I mean,
report
gas
that.
pipeline easements, they're all annual fees. The other thing is, I mean, what's the deal about putting a package together for that piece of property? We're not gonna use it. That's something they'd be interested in or not? Didn't we talk about this with them before?
Good one. I like the idea of getting rid of that property.
You know what I mean? Get rid of that property if we're not gonna do anything with it.
So that's why we did the wetland delineation. Because we had talked about offloading that property,
Yeah, I remember we talked
Yep.
about that.
but because so much of it came back that is designated as a wetland, he was like, not really interested, I can't do anything with it.
But now we need to water.
Maybe we can offer him a sale price or a easement annual fee and let him. take it back.
Seriously, it changes the, but you're not getting rich off that piece of property.
I know.
You know what I mean? You're better off, I mean, buy the damn property, give him a reasonable price for it, and get rid of it. And he has his own easement. It's bad.
And then we're looking at, just logistically, we're looking at a subdivision.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what the town subdivision rules
Codes are.
are. Yeah, you know, does it have to be a certain size? I don't know. We'd have to really look at that. And then remember, you know, going up the hill from the tank, you've got a beautiful piece of property up there. You know, I don't know, I think we really need to look at the whole big picture.
That's that piece just to the above.
Yes,
The blue.
correct.
Big picture in regards to if you eat up all the capacity by running the water to this, or
No, more so, you know, what is the plan for developing the rest of the property? And I would hate to see section off a piece and you go. We had that piece, we could have done whatever.
That goes all the way back to, what's the road?
Wrong road way
Yeah.
back there, that's heading
Yeah.
back.
We have like 70 acres there and
Oh, that's right. That
originally
Rizzuto,
we
too.
wanted that for housing. The only issue there is town of Owego sat down with us and explained, do you realize what sewer is gonna cost each individual home here? It's for that. The price so high that it's not.
But then you need to look at the possibility of running municipal sanitary down Strong Road to tie into where it is on Montrose Turnpike. So there are possibilities there. But you bought the Rizzuto property,
Yeah.
which is right adjacent to it,
Mhm.
thinking that there would be some kind of residential development there. So maybe you start down the hill and work, I don't. Brett?
I'll let you know how Temple and Reed Street.
All right, okay.
So for simplicity, in theory, at this time, we're not opposed to these.
Yeah.
Short answer.
Yeah. I like.
You just want an annual fee
Idea
or sell the property.
property. Not if you can't build on it. We can't build on it. I mean, the only thing you could do is add the acreage, but I don't know if you add the acreage and you subdivide, how do you play
How does
the
that work?
game?
Yeah.
That's, you know,
Yeah, we-
that'd be the only reason to hang on to it.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at, we'll have to take
See
a look
what
at what the
there's-
subdivision challenges. are,
And I'm not,
Because I don't know.
Yeah, I can,
need more colors on that map to answer stuff.
okay, cool.
Nice job. Color, nice. Very good.
Okay, keep going.
So regarding the audit, I am just waiting for 2 pilot company employee surveys to come in. And once I get that, I'll turn it over to our auditor, who will finalize our reports. And then we will reach out to the board asking you for your email approval of that audit report as soon as we get it. And then that'll be this month, because then I'll be uploading the audit report to Paris, and it needs to be board approved before I submit it by the end of the month.
Oh, it was smooth. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. They were
Pretty
very,
solid.
very,
No
Great
red-
forward.
No red flags in that thing.
no, they're thankful for Christine's efforts and getting them everything they need timely. They said pretty smooth and clean. Sweet, not some things outside of our control.
So on to pilot updates. Best Bev has a request letter here for everybody, requesting an additional
A lot.
$246,235.82 in sales tax exemption.
These guys are shooting cannon here with the.
So we have therefore prepared this resolution. Thank you, Joe. So seeking a motion approving the resolution approving same and giving them a time extension up until the end of September, just giving them more time than they asked for, just so we don't have to do another one. You know, if they happen to.
So moved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with this, Joe. I don't know if there's a way to do it. They still owe us for the last increase that we did.
I'm sorry.
They still owe us the fee for the last increase. Somehow our bill got lost in the shuffle with them. I mean, they're gonna pay it, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
they-
but I don't know if there's a way to, if we approve this, I'd like to be paid.
Well, you could say, yeah, just pending the payment.
Pending receipt of the last
Yeah, most
increase.
recent,
sure.
Yeah, I think that's the only condition that I would recommend.
Pretty big numbers. I
Right.
can't imagine.
They're gonna pay us,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, it's just that, prefer not to chase it if we don't have to, that's
Right.
all.
Yeah, well, we're paying attention to the project should pay attention to when we speak once in a while, so that's.
Yeah, they owe
easy enough
us,
to handle.
it's not much short of 10 grand, they still owe us, so.
Yeah.
We should probably schedule a visit down there.
That's what I would say too. I mean, they're making a big investment down there. I'd be very curious to take a peek at that.
We got to see it last year. It's really cool. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's increased since then, so I haven't seen it in a while.
Any off the top of your head times that might be best for everybody? Early in the morning?
Day of the
I
week.
mean, it's, we just,
3 blocks from me, just shoot it. Shoot the time. I'll get there.
I'm good early mornings or kind of later in the afternoon because I'm north of here.
Well, you're gonna be watching baseball and
Unless
track
I'm
here
retired,
pretty
then I'm
soon, so.
just,
Mary, any days that might be.
catch
best
me
for you?
before noon, before it's Spirit 30.
You got grandkids to watch, Kevin, so you're gonna be at track events here pretty soon.
Okay,
You're like,
Tuesdays are bad.
It's gonna be
Monday or
cold.
Friday.
Notice's first day, right?
no Tuesday. Okay, thanks, guys. That's very.
Schedule under control. So, all right, are we good to make a motion to, is there a resolution that's put
Yeah.
together?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to pass the resolution to increase
Make that
best.
motion.
Second that thing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
all right.
We are appreciative of that kind of investment. It's good.
So here, I've attached the air monitoring report from O'Rourke. I did not send that out to you as attachments. I can send that. If you want to look at it.
Any issues with it? Well, I don't know, we just need-
Nobody? Okay, good.
you need to see it, if there's no issues, air report. I'm breathing it, it's pretty good.
I wish you did not know what I was looking
Alrighty.
Looks like air.
at.
Could be a blank piece of
I'm
paper.
sure it was.
Just there. But we pay for
Um, so if you recall, this board approved spending $2,000 on a quarter-page ad in the Business Council 2 edition, so, just sharing what that looked like in a general update. This is a PDF version of the little magazine. I personally did not receive one in paper for file. Well, I guess I'll kind of browse you through it a little bit, so.
What page were we on?
We're on page 16, so we go through all these, you know. all these-
it. Get any bites off this?
I didn't, I haven't received a
That's the reason
single.
we're talking.
So we're page 16, we're right here. We welcome your business, we said, highway interchange, municipal water and sewer, 3-phase electric, natural gas, some industrial incentives available. And my email and our websites, and no, I never heard from anybody on
Yeah,
this.
probably won't be go that one next year.
That's my thought.
I would be curious as if we hear anything of it. I remember asking the group in this room if anybody read that magazine and or had seen a copy of it.
Who's no, I mean, does anybody know who's a member of this thing?
Well, they have 16,000, off the top of my head, I think they called a lot of members, but we are one. But I didn't receive a paper copy. I did receive an email.
It's a pretty exciting ad, but we're probably ought to move on.
Okay,
Pass on that one in 24.
so don't do that again.
That's not-
Sounds like a plan.
I second that.
Okay.
Third. Agreed.
Unanimous.
So, just sharing, we receive these reports monthly from Busy Life, who handles our social media, our Instagram and our Facebook accounts. It gives you your top posts and your numbers that you're reaching. So every now and then I'll share this with you guys.
I looked through that, but I gotta tell you, being a non-social media guy, I'm really clueless.
I don't do social media myself, but at least there's metrics here that you can look at a lot more so than what we previously looked at.
Yeah, so on Instagram, we have 676 people who actually follow us.
Well, this is kind of all inclusive for
Also,
us, Team
Tioga.
Tioga.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Yeah,
So you got land bank on here, you got economic development planning, you got us.
This was a bit interesting because it showed you, you know, how much interest in each one of the
Right.
yeah.
areas, you know,
Where this is our, this is our Buck Road post. And
It's interesting that I never saw any of these.
you do follow us. That is interesting.
I mean, the videos, some of the videos I saw,
Interesting.
but not all of them. I mean, and I'm not on all the time, so,
Yeah.
but
it was just a take time out to work and such.
It's important.
But yeah, it's all because of the algorithms and how they
Yeah.
do it, and we're not a for-profit paying into Instagram, so
Right.
our stuff is not perfect. And it would be obvious.
Exactly. And if you like, and the more you like something, the more they show it to you. And
That's a
Yeah.
good line right there.
Yeah, okay.
so, I mean, 889 views on the land banks project for rehabbing that house on the corner there. I can't think of its address, but it's so prominent right there. It looks great. It used to look
It does look
awful when you come into town, and now it looks great.
great. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I think with that, just boot it out in our agenda every month. We don't have to talk about it every meeting, but just for people. to
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's good, because we're paying Catherine how much every year?
500 something every month.
Busy Life, December 540, 570.
I'm way in favor of spending that $2,000 we just talked about.
I agree.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I won't bring that back around. Let's see. The only news, relative to all these grants that you're aware of is that the Soil and Water submitted that application supporting our Blodgett Road, creek fix that's encroaching on that NICEAG pole, and that was approved. So that's good news.
We're pretty much hands off on that, right?
Yep.
That's-
So I'm on and, you know,
Yeah.
Cool.
Usually they might contact me for a little bit of coordination, but they do the bidding, so that's-
When do you think that'll go? This year? So, yeah,
so I think we had,
We talked about
26,000 or something to stay on there.
Oh, it's a match, huh?
Yeah, I think we're 10%, we're 10%.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
All right, we're gonna move to executive session.
I'm making a motion to do that.
Second.